All right, well, we put North Texas to rest, and so we're moving on to Marshall this week. Another tough road challenge. Coach Holliday's done a great job in the years he's been there, recruiting really good football players. Their team plays hard. You can see it on both sides of the ball, and really, they're 3 tough losses away from being 7-0 and really being in a conversation as a BCS buster. I mean, a tough one at Virginia Tech, obviously last week, and then Ohio U on the road. So we've got a real challenge ahead of us. A really good football team with a really good quarterback and a group of good coaches. And again, it's going to be a real challenge for us. You watch them on film. That's a good football team.
What was yesterday? What did you guys do? What was when you guys got together? What was the mood like? Was it different than in Sundays past?
Well, I don't know if it was different. I think anytime the day after a game that you lose, homecoming, we didn't play as well in a number of areas that we had hoped. That didn't give us a chance to win. So I think there's more disappointment. But after we got through the tape and you start to assess where you're at and the things you can change and try to do it better. And then last night, practice was fine.
Obviously, Marshall is, I think they're top in the conference in total defense, near the top in the conference in total offense. So they present a lot of different challenges. What are some of the specific things that they do that are likely to cause problems?
Well, defensively, they're not afraid to challenge you. They're not afraid to play you in man, get up on you, put extra guys in the box, get after you. So they're not afraid to challenge you, which again poses issues on the perimeter. You guys have to have a chance to win one-on-one. You've got to take your shots when you can down the field. And then offensively, they spread you out and do a great job, as they do on the defensive side. And then they got a quarterback that can run, but isn't a runner per se. He's a guy that's going to look to throw, gets outside the pocket, extends plays. They've got good skill players. They're good up front. And again, what you see on film is you see a team that plays hard, plays for each other. And like I said, they've just been a hair away from being right there at 7-0.
The issues with running the ball under 40 last game, is that a personnel issue with their backs, or is that the offensive line not being able to get a push?
Well, the first thing was we were behind. I mean, that's the number one thing early on. That wasn't the issue. The issue was before you know it, we didn't take advantage of the first 3 or 4 possessions we had that we had a chance to score and keep the game in the balance. That was probably the number one thing. Then when you add sacks onto that, I mean, you're going to add, to lost yardage. Obviously, it's a work in progress. We've got to continue to find ways to run the football and be more balanced.
How did Nick respond a day after, a day later?
Fine. He's fine. Nick's fine. Again, I thought he showed tremendous poise, leadership, toughness. He understood some of the mistakes he made, and he's going to make mistakes, and all of our players are. We have flaws. So, but I think he got, again, from a week ago to playing in the game. He's only going to be better this week. We're only going to keep developing rapport with our receivers. Some of the things we did offensively this past week looked like we wanted it to look like. And you can't always say that. As you're building with a young team and a new system, it started to look a little bit like you'd want us to look. Obviously not perfect. We didn't score enough. But I think moving forward, I think we have a lot to build on.
It seemed like he, like in the post-game interview, I mean, he seemed unfazed, like almost completely by, obviously he knew there were mistakes that he made, but is that something that you have found that his, just his mental toughness is just way above average?
Well, again, I think he's got tremendous mental toughness. I think he's a smart player. I think he's accurate. I think he's got leadership qualities. And I think we've done a good job of just talking about the next play, and we're just building. You can't do anything about the last play. Go to the next play. All these things that you're going to get, practice, and the reps you're getting in the game, you're only going to build on. And so I think he gets that. I think at that moment he was probably able to collect himself. Would I say that during the game of that he wasn't frustrated with some of the mistakes, because he's a prideful guy of turning the ball over and how can I do it better? And but I think he understands it's a process as we move forward as a team.
He seems like an extremely astute individual. Is that something? Is that accurate? Would you
Mhm.
say? I mean, like, it seems like he, pays very close attention to detail and things like that. I mean,
He's not only smart, he's football smart. I mean, he gets it. He gets, it's like having a coach on the field.
Coach, the defense was able to force 4 turnovers in this game. Can you talk a little bit about what it's going to take to be able to take advantage of the turnovers?
Well, they went through a stretch. We had a stretch where we had 2 opportunities in the game to take advantage of the first 2 turnovers, which one was in the first half, which we missed a field goal, and then the other one start the second half. And it was good to see. And but obviously we found a way to continue to turn it over. But obviously it's the number 1 stat of why you win or lose. I mean, turnovers. Us not turning over, creating turnovers. And then obviously the other 4 categories we always talk about. But obviously we weren't able to take advantage of the other ones in the second half, where I think they came 3 in a row or 3 in 4 series that gave us an opportunity to kind of get us back in the game, and we just couldn't piece enough good plays together to get us back in it.
North Texas was successful on third down conversions. Was there any constant to that as far as USM? Was it somebody out of position or not enough speed or wrong defense or?
Well, all the above. I mean, when you're struggling, I don't care what side of the ball you're on or special teams. It's more than just one thing. It's, were we out of position at times? Probably. Was there some mismatches that happened? Yes. Were there some calls Coach Duggan would like back? Yes. And that's true with either side of the ball. That's same in special teams. Where you struggle, you're like, wow, how can we do it better? How can our players do it better? What can we do to help them do it better? So it's not that simple to just put your finger on it. And all I know is we've got to do it better. We've got to be in better position. We've got to make it harder on our opponent than we have. And we've got to get around the quarterback, as we all know. And when we do that, then we'll get off the field.
turning it over was not something North Texas has done a lot of this year, but you guys forced 4, which is the most since 2010. Is that a sign of things that you've seen over the past week or 2 in practice and things like that? Or?
No, I mean, it's not like we don't work on trying to create turnovers. Part of that was they probably got a little sloppy in the second half. Credit to our defense, but they probably got a little sloppy. At the end of the day, we'll create more turnovers when we create a little bit better pass rush and when we score enough to keep the game in the balance when we're forcing opponents to have to make plays and throw it. That's when you're going to get a bunch of turnovers, okay? A bunch of the turnovers we've had the last few weeks have been because we're throwing it. We haven't really fumbled it that much with our running backs and guys catching it. It's been a matter of quarterback getting hit and fumbling or us throwing it. And so that's where you're going to create those turnovers. And so when we do a better job offensively of putting that team on the defensive and we get a better pass rush, you'll create more turnovers.
The field goal problem reared its head again. I mean, he's 6 in a row, so is there a movement in there?
You know, what are you gonna do? You got to create, which we have in practice, environment where, you know, he has to compete and where we've got to get the ball up. And practice has not been an indicator of what we've gotten in the games. So Corey's got to get himself out of this. Okay, it's not something we can. Now, again, some of it has been his fault, some of it is not. Some of it where we've gotten rush earlier in the year, and then another one that was a long field goal. But at the end of the day, no one cares. We don't care. We have to figure out a way to do it better, and we've got to be able to, when we need a field goal, be able to make it. That's obvious. I mean, we've got to protect better. We got to coach it better. We got to kick it better.
Progress report on Devarius Miller. He's 2nd in the conference in tackles. Has he kind of become a leader on defense?
He's a developing player, and that's the best you say. He is an active player that still is a first-year starter and a second-year player in this program that has come a long ways and still has a long ways to go in terms of consistently being a great football player. He is athletic. He likes to play. He's fun to be around. Now, how can we continue to do it better? But he is a guy that is active. He is a guy that, again, likes to come to work every day. But he is a guy that can continue to get better from his mental approach and eliminate some of the silly mistakes that come from a young player. That's really where we're at, eliminating the silly mistakes. Dumb loses a lot more than smart wins. Eliminate those plays, we'll be better.
Dylan Reed is one of the few remaining seniors on that defense that's healthy. What have you seen from him this season and kind of keeping everybody trying to be upbeat heading into each and every game?
He's been great. He is a guy that wears his emotions on his sleeves. He is a great leader from a standpoint of how hard he works. It's important to him. Some of the guys that are seniors, most of them, unless they were junior college guys, have won here. He was a junior college guy last year, has never won a game here. So it's obviously frustrating to him. He came here because of the tradition that was built here, but I think he's done an unbelievable job of fighting through that, continuing to be upbeat, and continuing in practice to lead us.
Anything else?
You know, Rita almost seems like a military type guy. He comes in, looks you straight in the eye, tells you you believe him when he's saying that. What were your first impressions when you got here and met him?
He's that way. He's a straightforward guy, hard-working guy. He's a fifth-year senior. So he's a mature young man in terms of what you see is what you get. And I think that's an unbelievable quality to have these days, that there is no gray. And then you know what to expect come game day. Because as players and coaches, we all have flaws. But you know that from an energy standpoint and from a leadership and trying to bring guys with him, that's what you're going to get. And that's what you can count on. And that's a strong character to have. And that's what I appreciate about Dylan the most.